Before we go any further, shall we just bow our heads in a word of prayer and commit the meeting into the hands of the Almighty? We thank you, O Lord, for this morning. We thank you for this meeting. We thank you for all the people who are now on the platform. We thank you for all those who are preparing to enter onto the platform. We pray, O Lord, that you may minister unto our hearts this morning. May you use your servant, O Lord, to talk to us, to bring down your message to us. May our lives be transformed by the message that we are receiving. We commit all the proceedings into your hands in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Amen.
Oh, thank you very much, Brother Mark. And thank you very much to the fellowship for being so kind to extend the invitation to me. You know, more than having me as a speaker, I see this as those opportunities that God have given you guys to reach out to those that have been chained. Sometimes I may say that I'm not chained, but only God knows how chained or how unchained I am. So I welcome the invitation, and thanks, Brother Mark, for the introduction. I think if I have done it myself, I would have taken only a quarter or a third of what you said. So thank you very much. You know, as I put up the topic that I was invited to talk about is how to drive a high performance culture in our organization. First, I was surprised why talk about the high performance culture in a fellowship, because I assumed that the fellowship would focus only on the gospel. But then I realized that, you know what, if you look at it very, very, very carefully, you will realize that there is nothing that doesn't stem from gospel. There is nothing that doesn't stem from the Lord. So that's why I said, no, why not? I'm available. As we start our conversation, the first question that we must ask ourselves is, what is high performance culture? Okay, I mean, if you go there in books, you will find lots and lots of definitions. But I would prefer to put it very simple so that every one of us are on the same page. Okay. One definition that I found that I thought that I should share with you is they say that a high performance culture is everything that you as a leader can do, okay, which will allow your team, okay, to be as effective as possible and bring you the best business results and add value to your business. Everything you can do as a leader that will help allow your people to be as effective as possible. And by that way, you achieve the business results. Another quote that I like to use when I talk about the high performance culture, it comes from British leader Winston Churchill, where he said, you know what, as leaders and employees in the organization, okay, we need to do the absolutely necessary, okay, what it takes to win. When I use the word winning in this perspective, it's not about conquering each other. Okay, achieving our objective, achieving our results is a dimension of winning. So, Winston Churchill said, look, whether you want to go for training, you want to automate, you want to introduce high technology, whatever, do everything absolutely necessary to win. Okay, and if you want, I can put it this way. When I look at high performance culture, for me, it's more of a state of mind, okay, than in infrastructure, tools, and etc. All those things will complement, but the fundamental element in a high performance culture is your state of mind, okay? So if you as a leader, you don't settle for less, okay? you drive for the best results possible, and you are successful in translating this state of mind of yours, okay, to your team, okay, you will transform your team in a high-performing one. It means it is not enough for you to be clear of what needs to be done. Okay? That passion for getting things done, that passion for being as successful as possible, that passion and desire for continuous improvement, you have to pass it on to your team. That's why I added the word enacted. You can have a winning spirit, unless you translate it into actions, nothing will happen. We will never tell that your organization has a high performance culture unless what you say, okay, and what we see on your website is translated in actions on the ground. Why are we having this conversation? For various reasons, but I would just focus on four. One is because as businesses, maybe I should say all organizations, okay, they win, they succeed through people. So high performance culture is about how do you mobilize, how do you configure your team, okay, to deliver superior results in a sustainable way, okay? So unless you focus on your people, you don't get results. The second element, the second reason why we're having this conversation is, you know what? You can have the best strategy, you can have the best, a wonderful vision, okay? And you can have a compelling set of values, but the quality and effectiveness of your mission, vision, value, and strategy will be as good as the level of your execution. And brothers and sisters, the Bible has lots of examples where good strategy, excellent, very bold visions failed because the execution was not just right. Okay? I'm not going to delve into that, but I'm happy to call some examples as we go. The third reason why it's important to talk about high performance culture in our organization is that, you know, history has proven that whatever you don't measure, it hardly gets done. Okay, so the message is anything that you measure, okay, will be done. And measuring has different perspectives to that, and we can talk about it a little bit later on. And then, because you guys are business men, you talk financial KPIs and language, okay? High performance culture leads to employee engagement. When everyone in your team have this winning spirit, have this winning mentality, have this can do, I want to, and I'm going to type of mentality, okay, automatically it develops a high level of engagement within the team. Okay, no one wants to leave that team. I mean, we all know from our own lives. Okay, if you are part of a world-class winning team, you want to be a world-class unless you move to another winning or world-class team. The other benefit of driving a high-performance culture is that it yields productivity in your team, and at the end of the day, your bottom line, your productivity will increase. Now, one important message is that a high-performance culture in your organization, it starts first with you, and it comes back to you. So your role as a leader in driving high-performance culture in your organization is crucial. Okay, it's you first who need to embrace this high performance mentality. Okay, it's you first to demonstrate in your actions that you are first of all a high performance leader, and then the people around you will mimic. If you have, when you have some time, go read again about Joshua in the Bible. Okay, you will realize that the only reason, well, not only, the second reason, because the first reason was his obedience to the Lord, but the second reason why Joshua was highly successful in his campaign, okay, is because of his leadership. Everything that he was telling his people, he will do first, okay, and his team would simply follow him. When he was given the hard decision, okay, to say, look, do you cross over to your ancestors' land? You worship me as your Lord, or you worship the gods of your ancestors, and you know how your ancestors ended. Okay, he told his people, you people have the freedom to choose, but as for me and my family, I will stick to my Lord. And no one chose to worship the many gods their ancestors they worship, simply because they have seen Joshua walking, they have seen them leading, they've seen his belief, they've seen his passion, they've seen his how crazy he was when it was time for executing whatever he was telling his people. So they knew that, look, it was just right for them to follow their leader. So you practice the same in organization, and people will naturally follow what you say. Now, when I was thinking about what drives high performance culture, I wanted to bring an allegory, an image of that would resonate in our mind in terms of high performance culture. And this is a movie that I like, Spartacus. I will confess, I've never seen the full movie. I've seen a few trailers. This is because I use the film or some movies for training. And if you have watched the movie, or at least the promotional trailer, you will agree with me that this is an example of a high-performing team. Okay, and one of the reasons why this team was highly successful, it started with the leader, Spartacus himself, having very clear vision of where he wants to take his team, his fellow prisoners, having a very clear game plan, being very effective in translating that game plan to his teammates, and also leading the way in the sense of showing, you know what, I'm not telling you to sacrifice and then I come behind you. I'm the first one in sacrifices as well. And Spartacus was not, he didn't hesitate, okay, to call out people when they were moving out of the values and what was agreed as the operating model of the team. And it allowed them to be successful. I invite you to watch it, just the trailer, and 5 minutes one, and you will love it. Okay. Now, what do I take from Spartacus in terms of the key drivers of a high performance culture? I call this a Spartacus house. Of course, at the bottom, at the foundation of a high performance culture, there is stellar leadership. Again, you will have seen in many examples of leadership, of superior leadership in the Bible. My friend and master Ozzy has just launched a book on Pharaoh's model of leadership. But I've mentioned to you about Joshua. You can go all the way back to Noah and Abraham and so forth. So at the bottom of a high performance culture, there is stellar leadership. A leadership that is not just there to point the way. It points the direction, but she or he is the first to set foot towards that direction. She's okay. She's comfortable in acknowledging when things are not going as expected and making the necessary correction. The second pillar of high productivity culture, high performance culture, okay, is clarity of purpose and of challenge. If you go back to the Spartacus movie, it was clear that it was a matter of survival. Okay, so they had to give their absolute best, all that was necessary for them to survive. It was as clear as that. Okay, the same organizations, we sometimes blame our people that they're not effective. Okay, yet we don't ask ourselves how successful, how effective were we as leaders in articulating the destination, the purpose that we want our teams to embrace. And the other pillar for high performance culture is clarity of focus and standards. You know what? As we walk in our journey as businessmen, and even as Christians, there is a lot of things that will come on our way. And actually, the Bible says, I can't remember the scripture, it says that your eyes must focus forward, never look to the left, nor to the right, nor back. Okay? That's the type of focus that is required if you want your team to be a high performance one. And then standards must also be very, very clear, because it's the clarity of standards that will allow everyone to gauge whether they are on track or not. The other element of high performance culture is responsibility and accountability. We have another great example in Joshua, from which my friend was here elaborated very, very, very skillfully. As a leader, okay, you are not expected to do everything by yourself, but you must know who is within your team, what are the capabilities of each one in my team, and which task do I assign to which individual in my team, and how can I make sure that every team member is accountable to himself first, because I have, as a HR director, my first accountability is to my role as HR director, okay? And then to my team, to the organization in general. Okay? And then the other element of a high performance culture is teamwork. When we operate as a team, we are able to do compensation. When one of the team member is struggling on a particular moment, okay, and there is all the other elements are in place, one or two other team members will immediately jump to assist. You don't have to tell them, look, go and assist the same, because everyone understands that the same success is our success. Same failure is our failure. So when they see same struggling, or two or three other team members, they quickly jump to help. And then the next summit will be the same, who will jump to help the other team members. When all these elements are in place, your team will run your business if they were running their own business. And then on tying everything is a robust performance management system. And I will, in the next few minutes, I will talk a little bit more about specifically about how you can leverage your performance management system to drive the right culture in the organization so that people deliver results for your organization. I use organizations because what we're discussing here apply also for non-for-profit organizations. Okay. There are a number of tools that we can use to drive a high performance culture. Some people will invest more on technology, on automation, artificial intelligence, and those type of things. But there is a tool that has always been there for us as leaders, okay, and will always be there even when the technology gets obsolete. That tool remains relevant, which is the performance management process, or the performance management system. Why is performance management important for you? Okay, I consider performance management the backbone of your strategy execution, mainly for 4 reasons, but there will be others. The first one is your performance management is the best way of visualizing your business strategy. Okay? From the high level goals to your departmental to the individual, and you cascade the KPIs all the way throughout the organization. So it's the best way of visualizing your business strategy. The performance management system is an effective way of driving ownership and accountability, and even for tracking progress on the different initiatives or objectives that you have. When you have a robust performance management system, okay, it gives you a solid basis, or it facilitates reporting on the execution of your strategy. And obviously, when you have this a solid performance management system, the ideal is that you could use it as a reporting tool. So when it comes to discussing with your team, being it leadership team or the entire organization, about your performance, about the performance of the organization, it will give you data platform to facilitate the conversation. You may build dashboards and all sort of tools that will aid the conversation. I think before I show you the other slide, a comment here that if you don't know, if you don't have clarity of where you want to go, it's you get nowhere. So any destination will be valid because you did not clearly define where you want to go. One of the weaknesses of most performance management system is that they are not a closed loop. They are a series of isolated events. Okay, most of us have had the experience of a performance management system where there is a moment where they say, okay, now it's a goal setting time. We finish goal setting, and we never hear again about performance management until the time of the performance review, mid-year or at the end of the year, and maybe when rewards are being discussed, and full stop. If you want performance management, okay, to drive this high performance culture, make it a continuous process, an ongoing process. There are important moments that I highlighted in red in the cycle, okay, and I want to call your attention on the XCOM defining business goals for the year. Like I said before, unless there is clarity of purpose and clarity of challenge, everything else will have no quality. Okay, and then the next step, which is critical, is a solid way of cascading the goals from the leader to the bottom of the organization. You can go again to, I love the example of Joshua, the way of translating the objectives to the troops on the ground, or how you needed to do that, what you need, who should lead what. So all these are important elements. The other element which is important in making the performance management system strengthen your high performance culture is the calibration and the consistent check process. We'll talk a little bit about that shortly. So make sure that your performance management system is not episodic, but it is in an ongoing process, and people understand why this is so. Speaking of goal alignment, it starts from your strategic plan, from your business plan, to define the goals of a chairman and cascade down to the staff. So if you look at the left side of the diagram, you will see that there is cascading down from the top to the bottom. But on the other hand, there is a feedback loop from the staff up to the top organization, meaning that if we did well in terms of cascading the objectives from the leader to the shop floor, okay, we should assume that if everyone at the shop floor meet and surpass their objectives, the next levels in the organization, in the structure, should also meet their objectives. Fairness and objectivity is another critical element in driving a high performance culture. You know, one of the things that I recommend, before I said that, I want to highlight that when employees or when your team members feel that you or the system itself is not fair, the performance measurement process is not objective, okay, then it tends to become an disengagement process than the other way around. So instead of driving productivity, okay, it drives, it brings down staff morale, okay, and it makes you lose business. So one of the things that I recommend as a way of strengthening the fairness and objectivity in the performance management system is what we call two levels up review. So the performance of a teller will be reviewed by, for example, the branch manager, and I'm speaking from a banking perspective, will be reviewed by the branch manager, and then the line manager of the branch manager will also have a say. Even though she's not working directly with the teller, okay, she should be able to ask the right question to make sure that we are being fair with this individual. The other thing that I highly recommend is the management team's calibration session. What this calibration is about is looking at okay, when I look at the people that I have in my team or in my organization, the performance of each individual, okay, do I believe that the one that is highest rating in reality is the top performer in my organization or in my department, okay? So that no one will contest the results of the performance management process, because they understand, you know what, Mark has performed far better than I do. I think after Mark, this was Ismail was the next one, and so forth. There are different ways of doing the calibration process. You can hold a specific session of your management team with, or of your leadership team, to talk about your people and challenge each other. Very often, an individual works with as he does the work, he interacts with other people in other departments. So people in other areas will have some feedback to provide. So that's the way you do to make sure that we are being fair and objective. And then there is a tool, most of you will be familiar with the bell curve or normal distribution curve. The beauty of this curve is that if you plug the performance rating of your team in the bell curve, on the bell curve, the shape of your performance ratings curve should resemble the shape of your business results. Now, if you have in the graph you see on the screen, if you have the graph skewed towards the right, or on the one which is the top performance, then you should go to your financial, to your bottom line, and you should have a healthy bottom line. Okay, so if you see that most people in the certain department, okay, are rated higher, but the results in the organization or in that department are not as good as they should, then you have reason to ask the leader of that particular area to revisit. So there should be consistency between the profile of the performance reviews and the profile of your business results. One of the things that contributes significantly in driving high performance culture is how we deal with the results of the performance management process. There are three key areas where you can use the results and how you can use the result of the performance management to drive high performance and winning culture. The first one is clearly linking your rewards to performance. So your performance increase. Those that have top performance should get a higher performance increase than the rest. If you have a variable pay or bonus, okay, a bigger portion of the pie should be reserved for the top performer in organization. The objective of linking your rewards to the performance is that you want people to understand that the more they deliver, the more they give to the organization, the more the organization will also give back to them. Same applies when you are making decisions around careers. Okay. For example, when a manager comes to me and proposes a promotion of a particular employee, one of the things that I want to see is, let me see the performance records of this individual over the last 2 to 3 years. There is no point in promoting someone that from a performance perspective is not good. Okay, you're sending the wrong message in the organization. If you reward highly or you promote someone who's clearly a poor performer, you are telling the rest of the team that it's okay to be okay. And you don't want the okay people in your organization, in your team. You want people that strive for the best results. Then the third area where you link performance where you use your results of the performance management to drive high performance culture is what I call tough love. You know, as leaders, we should not be afraid to call spare or whatever. If someone is not performing, okay, you have two options: either putting individually on a performance improvement process, okay, and there are different tools for that. Okay, which is you believe that this individual is well intentioned, okay, but for a reason he's struggling. So I'm going to spend time coaching him, giving him the necessary tool, training him to see if he improves performance. If that is not working, cancel him out. And every employee, every poor performer you keep in your organization or in your team, okay, is contributing to a cancer in your team. People will always ask, why should I give more if the same, okay, is delivering 75% of what I deliver, but he's getting exactly the same things. Okay, so we need to deal with poor performance with a very, very firm hand. It doesn't mean that we're being unfair to people. Okay? It simply tells the people, you know what, in our organization, there is no space for someone who will sit back and eat from the sweat of other people. Okay. Just as a closing thought on high performance culture, this is what happens in most African savannas, but this is also what happens in most of our organizations and of our businesses. You know, no business is alone in the market. We always have a competition. Okay, you will have business playing the role of the gazelle, okay, that need to run faster than the slowest cheetahs, okay, so that they don't get eaten. It could be your market share. It could be your client base. It could be your winning product that you want to protect it. Okay. On the other hand, there are the cheaters. Okay. Some of them are the new entries in your market, or that organization that you took over them before, but they realized what they need to do, and they reconfigure themselves, and they're now chasing back the portion of the business that you took from them. So wherever you see yourself fitting, you are either a cheetah or a gazelle. Time is of essence. Okay, so you need to run as fast as you can, and running as fast as you can, okay, is measured by the speed of the slowest team member you have. High performance culture will be measured, okay, based on the productivity level of your weakest team member, not on the best performer. Okay, so this is the message that I wanted to leave with you to close, and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. MAPUTSO. Thank you very much. That was very rich. Ladies and gentlemen, like our speaker has said, we want to open up this time for you to ask any questions that you may be having. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to either write them to the chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself. For now, I think we have one question on the chat from Mr. Ishmael. We are also opening up for comments in case you want to share some comments with us, with the speaker. Please feel most welcome. So the question that we have says, what can we do to improve his or her performance culture? This is coming from Mr. Ishmael. Maybe Mr. Ishmael, if I can just ask you to expand a bit more on your question so that it's more clearer to the speaker before I hand it over to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. I think I just want to figure out what are the tips for me, starting from the individual point of view, to what are the tips for me to improve my performance culture? Because I think, as the speaker said, we're gonna have to start with our own selves, and then drive to others. I don't know if I made myself clear.
Yeah, I get you, Brother Ismail. You see, I think that's a very, very important point. Before you chase others for increasing the performance, you also need to look first at yourself and how you can do it. The first thing for you to be highly productive, okay, clarity is clarity of what you want to achieve. If you make sure that your own goal as a leader is very, very clear. Where do you want to take your team to? What do you want your team to achieve collectively, not as individuals? Okay, because at the end of the day, that's how you as a leader will be measured. Okay, so this has to be very clear. The other thing that you want to clarify for yourself is the roadmap, okay, that will take you to your goal. When I say the roadmap, if you are speaking from organization level, it could be the business strategy, but as a leader in your department, okay, and then let's say that your goal is to make $1 million net profit at the end of the year. So you need to ask yourself, okay, first, how am I going to translate to communicate this goal to my team in a way that it will make sense, okay, and it will drive them to do as much as they can, okay? What tools do I need to be effective in delivering my role? The reason why I'm mentioning the tool is that sometimes the objective is very clear, the challenge is very clear, everyone is aligned, but they don't have the right tools to perform, to do the job, okay? And as a leader, you need to make sure that you have the right tools yourself, and you are able to provide your teams with the tools they need to perform the job. There is one final thing that I want to highlight here, Brother Ismail, so that I don't take too long on this question. Very often, the highly effective leaders are very good in self-awareness. When I say self-awareness, it's about knowing your strengths and knowing your development areas. Why is this important? If I know that I'm good, or sorry, I'm not so good in planning. I must know in my team who is the strongest person in planning, and I should not have an issue at all with asking that person to lead that planning session. If I know that I'm not good in communicating persuasively, which should be a big challenge if you're a leader, find someone in your team that you know that he is a very good communicator. Do your best in selling the vision to this individual so that she or he can help sell it to the rest of the team. And I think this is what, if you go back to the Bible and even in the most successful business people, these are some of the things that make them highly successful. There are a few routines, okay? There are a few routines that as individual leader you can also practice, okay? If you haven't read the book by Robin Sharma, 5 a.m. Club is one of those things that I think is important to look at, which gives important tips in terms of how you can be more effective as a leader. The other book that I would recommend is there are two books. The one book is the title of the one book is Execution: The Art of Getting Things Done. And this one I highly recommend. The title of the book is Execution: The Art of Getting Things Done. There is another one from the Franklin Covey's group, 50 Disciplines of 5 Disciplines of Execution. So those are resources that are available that can help you as a leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you for doing justice to that question. I think I should extend my thanks to Mr. Ishmael as well, because what you have added here is something that I had never really thought of. Being a leader myself, and I'm benefiting so much, and I benefited from the way that you answered that question. I have one more question here from Sustendi Sachkonye. He's saying, thank you so much, Sam. How do you survive in an environment where you feel unwanted? Obvious options are either to leave or to prove yourself more. But are there any other options, or how best can you handle 2 options? And he goes on to say, how do you deal with poor or less performers who are good at talking and are connected to the top and are believed there? So those are 2 questions. Okay.
Yeah, I have thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I have had a couple of those examples in my life, within my own team and in other teams that I had to support as a head of HR. I will start with the last part of the question of how you deal with a poor performer, lazy, who may be connected to the top organization. If you remember, when we started, I highlighted the high performance culture starts with you as a leader, and it comes to end with you as a leader. So what I'm saying now is that if I'm the second level and the poor performer has connection with the top, the CEO, for example, okay, then the CEO bears this responsibility for driving the high performance culture. My advice to you is be fair to everyone, including to this poor performer. Fairness is about pathing, hugging someone, even though the individual is not delivering. No, fairness means that I'm just in my decision, I'm just in my action. Now, fairness very often goes hand in hand with facts. Okay, so if I focus my performance conversation with the individual on facts, if I use facts to demonstrate, you know what, these are the reasons why I'm not happy with your performance. This is the target that we agreed. When we agreed this target, you requested this support, and these are the evidence that I provided you, the support that you wanted. these are the feedback sessions that we had along the time, yet okay, you haven't delivered what we had agreed. So I have given everything that it was necessary for you to deliver, okay, yet you didn't deliver. This has to be communicated very, very clearly, very, very clearly. If necessary, okay, I will bring a portfolio of evidence. Okay. I had a learning and development manager in the past that after some point was giving me a hard time, and I realized that him and my MD at the time had been classmates in the university. So that relationship was interfering in the focus of my guy. So I had to build a portfolio of evidence, all the conversations we had, all the checkpoints. I put those together and said, look, this is what we have. So I'm not happy. Okay. And when I gave him an unaccepted performance rating, I knew he would go to speak to the he would play politics and go to speak to the CEO who happened to be his friend. So I did my homework in advance. Eventually, it happened that the CEO came to me and said, "Oh yeah, you know, this man did say this and whatever." I said, "Look, here's the file. Look at it yourself. Are you happy with the results that he has delivered to the organization or not? You are the CEO. At the end of the day, okay, it's you are accountable for the results of the organization. Now, tell me if you are happy with what this individual is giving me." So if I didn't have enough facts, enough evidence, probably it would have been difficult for me to challenge the CEO. Okay, and eventually we fired the guy. Okay, because the CEO realized, you know what, if I don't support Sam in the quest to help to improve the performance of the L&D manager, at the end of the day, it's the business that will suffer. So we put the guy on the performance improvement plan in 3 months only. We said, look, over the next 3 months, focus on 1, 2, and 3. Minimum delivery standard is 95. End of that period, if we are not there, my friend, we will happy to see you go. And unfortunately, because he believed that he had a strong political backup, okay, he didn't deliver, and we invited him to leave the organization. Now, the first part of the question, it also happens frequently that you have people in the organization playing politics. I have a similar situation in my previous organization, and to be honest, part of the cause of the problem in that particular case was the leadership, not necessarily the line manager. From the line manager, I think communication was the stumbling block. But from the leadership side of it, unfortunately, at a given moment, leadership took side. Okay, you know, when Brother Marx comes to me and says, "You know what, Ismail is doing this or is not doing that," and I stand and started taking part before I hear the full side of the story. Or you listen too much on one side and you only spend a bit on the other side. You obviously get a biased position. But how you do if you are the person in the line manager of that individual, my advice is focus on facts. Okay, don't be defensive. Okay? Because when you try to defend yourself, okay, you are giving more ammunition to the politicians in the organization. They will simply say, "You see, I told you. See what he's doing or what he's saying." Okay, focus on facts. And they try to bring the different or the concerned people on the table so that we have an objective conversation about the situation. I must share this. I hope the person is not on the call, but I will not say the name. In one organization, we almost released a strategic resource. What I mean is that we almost let go someone whose skills base, whose network base, okay, was worth maybe 2/3 of his entire team, simply because we were ill-informed. We listened to one side, okay, and we listened more to one side and instead of balancing attention to both. And when we asked for the facts, we realized that as leadership, and I'm including myself because I was the HR director in that organization. So we realized that, you know what, we were going to make a big mistake. And we decided to put the person that was steering the thing to task. And we gave upfront and honest feedback to the individual. You know what, this is what we see. We believe in you here, but we don't believe in you here. These are the evidences. So it's up to the individual to decide, do you want to stay and you need to sing according to the hymn sheet, or you don't want to do that, and then we are sorry to have to see you go. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you. In the interest of time, I think I will allow just one last question. I see there's one on the chat already. This is coming from SBMO. How would you, as a leader who has just joined, move from lowest performing culture to come to a point where you are able to instill a high performing culture, especially when you realize that the main driver for low performance is not lack of skills, but people's attitude? Is it easier to get rid of some people or work on culture change? And if you are to work on culture change, how do you do that?
That's an interesting question. You know what? I will talk from my personal perspective on how I deal with that situation. I normally don't. I'm usually not too rush in terms of getting rid of people before I have a full understanding of the root cause. Okay? It's easy as a leader to say, you know what, my team is not performing. The weak link is Laxon, so let me get rid of Laxon. It's easy to do that. And you will find that very often, okay, the poor performance of the team is a responsibility of the leader. When you ask the right question, you may realize, you know what, I was at fault in this aspect. So don't be too quick in firing people. Try to spend time to understand the root cause of people's performance. Even if it's the individual who's not performing, okay? Talk to the person. Check. You said that the person has got skills. Okay, so try to understand at the beginning of this session, Brother Munya mentioned that in this fellowship, we look at men in totality. You know, the skills will talk to him as a human being who has been trained, whatever, but remember that this person is a social being, has an emotional aspect, so probably his performance is being impacted by issues are beyond his control. And those issues may be happening within the organization, for example, if the environment is not conducive, or at home. So first try to understand the root cause of the performance. Now, if you realize that it all drills down to poor attitude from his side, okay, the next step that you do is to provide counseling to this individual. You can do it yourself. You can find someone in the other part of the organization that is trusted to help you counsel this individual. And if she or he doesn't change, please don't take too much to let the person go. You rather spend more time training someone who has got the right attitude than spending too much time trying to fix someone with bad attitude. So the moment you realize, you understand why he's having the bad attitude, you counsel and it's not working, you are welcome to let him go. Okay, but you always ask, how could I have done it differently? if I were to get different result from my team. That way you are checking whether the blame is not on yourself. Okay, it's easy to point fingers to other people, and sometimes we are the source of the problem. So first ask yourself, okay, what's my take on the poor performance of this individual, of this team member? Okay, if I realize, no, I don't think the issue is with me, it's with him, then deep dive to understand the root cause, and you act from there. You ask how to move from high to high performance culture as you start. My friend, you need to be honest to yourself, or we need to be honest to ourselves. Building a high performance culture or becoming a high performing leader, it takes a process. Okay, just like you don't plant the orange seed on the land today, and tomorrow you have juice. Okay, you plant, you water it, then you put those remedies to kill those insects that like to eat the leaves. Eventually there's flower, eventually there's small orange, until the day you have the juice. So you need to trust the process. Don't put too much stress on yourself, because you have realized that Brother Mark is the type of leader that you would want to be, and then you think that you will be like him in the next year or two. Trust the process. Brother Mark has been there for a couple of years. Okay, he has stumbled several times. He has stood up a couple of other times. So there are lessons that he took along the journey. So appreciate the journey and work your own journey. Don't work someone else's journey. Work your own journey. Thank you.